او يعني بيدعيني الراجل بصراحه يعني مشكورا متعاون مع مكتب DAAD بصوره يعني فعاله جدا على اكثر من مستوى. وده DAAD اكشولي اللي هو مركز العلم الاكاديمي الالماني هو اكبر هيئه المانيه بتعمل بره المانيا، اكبر هيئه حكوميه المانيه بتعمل بره المانيا لتطوير اداء الباحثين وللمشاركه البحثيه وفي تدريب الباحثين في منح الماجستير والدكتوراه والابحاث في المدة القصيره والابحاث المدة الطويله اللي هي من 3 اشهر لسنتين واكثر. لو جينا نتكلم عن critical thinking والproblem solving, we'll find that there is more than one way for critical thinking and problem solving now, and it is according للفوكس بتاع كل واحد بيحل مشكله ازاي. For example, في ديل كارنيجي وماكنزي و many other ways in problem solving. Yet before we do that, we have to think about the problem itself, not to solve the problem, whether it's a problem or not. But usually we have two ways of this is this one, this one, and this one. What are these? What are these? حد يعرف؟ طب ممكن اقفل الكاميرا دي واحده؟ لا this is a workshop not an lecture. فانا عايز دوشه اللي احنا هنعمله. يس.
اعتقد ممكن يكونوا ابعاد المشكله او اتجاهات المشكله.
ابعاد المشكله واتجاهات المشكله ده برسبكتيف صح او غلط مش هقول دلوقتي.
رؤيتها نفسها المشكله ولا شايفه
قربتي شويه. methods of thinking في البروبلم بالذات قربتي شويه. كلمة قوية جدا. Very good. Yes. بس هي قريبة. أنا شايف إن إحنا جامعة المنصورة البنات بس اللي بيتكلموا والرجالة بيتكسفوا. ما عدا بتاع التصوير وما عدا الباشا هنا حسب في طلب اللي هو بتاع التصوير بنروح كده مش إيه تاني؟ بليز. اتفضل يا فندم.
هم في الاساس جيومتريك شيبس يعني الاساسي.
Thank you so much. This is your perception of it. في ناس شافوها geometric shape. Thank you so much. في ناس شافوها أنماط تفكير، في ناس شافوها المشكلة شكلها عامل إزاي، في ناس شافوها many other things. Yet at the very end, he gets geometric shapes, but geometric shapes reflect something. But when we think about these shapes, we think about how do I think or identify the problem? Will I go from the very general to the very specific? Or am I going to identify the problem as a minute or a small problem? So I go from the very specific and then I will have it as very general. And both of these ways are not 100% correct. Or am I going to think about that the problem is like a box that has got بنسميها ايه الجيومتريك شيب دول بيسميهم acute angles ولا بيسميهم ايه؟ straight angles. Right angles 1 + 1 = 2. Or is it, do I think about and identify the problem as circular going around and around and around? This is your mindset that will identify the problem accordingly. For this reason, I said, أنماط التفكير, yes, it's very قريبة. Yet think about it now while you are doing one activity. تشترك معنا ولا تاخد مني details بس؟ تشترك معنا غصب عنك. 4 of you together, 4 of you together, 4 of you together, 3 of you together, 4 of you together, 4 of you together, 4 of you together. مخصصين بعض الكرسي في النص الثاني كده. 4 of you together. And then think about, I want every single person to think about one problem that he or she sees in his work, that he or she sees in his or her own work, and write it in front of him or her. So I will have from here 4 problems, and I will have from here 4 different problems. I will have from here 4 different problems, 3 problems, 4 problems, 4 problems, 4 problems. Okay, you've got 2 minutes to finish. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want the 4 of you to agree on one problem. The 4 of you to agree on one problem. I want to hear noise. Noise. Agree on one problem. Agree on one problem only. Agree on one problem only. انتوا خاسرين بعض ليه؟ Agree on one problem. Okay, done? Thank you so much. And I will start with this team. What is the problem that you agreed on? Yes, what is the one problem you agreed on? No, I want one. Okay, 2 minutes to agree on one. 2 minutes and agree on only one problem. Take 2 minutes and agree on one problem. Okay, very good. Okay, done? Thank you so much. Now, what is the problem that you agreed on?
Time management.
Okay, time management. This team, what's the problem they agreed on? I can't hear.
How to make the old support for bridges to sustain the road.
What was the problem?
That's the problem.
How to plan time management. برضه. دكتور, are you with them or with ناحية ولا ناحية؟ لا. No, it should be in one team. This or that. Okay, طبعا.
بس انا كنت مع
Okay, give me one thing. اتفقنا على نتفق. ها, give me one thing.
how to make the old support to sustain the
Say it again. How to eat?
how to make the old supports for the bridge to sustain the road.
How to make
The old supports for bridge to
the old
the old supports for bridges to sustain the road.
4 bridges
Yes.
to support it.
To sustain the road.
Sustain what?
The road.
Load. الأدب. Lack of persistence. And what?
definite policy.
Definite and definite policy. And 1, 2, 3, 4. دي من ورا خالص.
lack of equipment.
Lack of what?
Equipment.
Equipment. Fine. Lack of equipment. Ha?
Yes.
Team down.
lack of research equipment.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Personalization of the work and neglecting the scientific way of thinking.
Personalization of work. Yes, and
Neglecting scientific way of thinking.
neglecting scientific thinking. Yes, ma'am. Communication with students. 5, 6, 7. Communication with students. I want one more. Yes. واحدة ميم نون واحدة ها in postgraduate
training
anything else? I will take random sample from these. I didn't hear everyone. And I know that there are 2 or more problems to be shown. Yet, think about this. I drew some shapes here, right? That currently I don't want anyone to copy or to copy. You will have everything sent to you via mail. You have soft copy with no problem. You get all the material. Okay? But I want you to think. In those 5-6 hours, I want you to think. Right. Let's have a look here. Lack of system and definite policy. Type. If I want to put this, should I put it here? Or should I put it here? Okay. System A وبوليسي A وديفرنت في A. فالطرح بتاع المشكلة itself is very broad. طيب time management broad في ايه؟ في as personal thing ولا on administrative level ولا as interpersonal ولا do you mean time management means you get a lot of workload with some working hours that does not meet and so this will enable you to do the things? Well, you'll have to think deep down. جاي لك والله تقول عليا يا دكتور. Lack of equipment خير. Of A. Lack of equipment where? This is part of the equipment. This is equipment. Research equipment where? Which in engineering or in pharmacy or in medical school or where? You'll have when you go in the morning in the briefing. تدخل على رئيس الجامعة or رئيس الجامعة في briefing in the morning. And then let's say we'll have a weekly meeting. Then you go into the briefing saying we have a big problem. We have lack of equipment. فتلاقي واحد من الهندسة يقول لك في ايه؟ وحد يقول لك لا ما عملوا ايه ده احنا لسه جايبين حاجه ب 5 مليون يورو. تلاقي التاني هتلاقي حضرتك في الاخر كليه زراعه وانت بتتكلم في ايكويبمنت بتاع انتاج حيواني وعشان خاطر المشروع البحثي اللي بيحصل والريتيرن انفستمنت بتاعته ب 5-6 مليون يورو ولا دولار. عندها هتلاقي الناس بتسفه من هتدخل في حوالي مش في المين ستريم. You got to sub talks because you couldn't put the problem in the right way. Right, let's take a put the problem in the right way when I get into the steps. Right. Personalization of work and neglecting a scientific way of thinking, or scientific way of application, or application of objective management, or whatever. Is this one problem, or is this two problems?
One.
No. Personalization of work دي حاجة يمات بيها it's not being run objectively. Right? It's not professional way of running work.
It is itself not a scientific.
Neglecting, this is another thing.
But personalization itself is not a scientific way.
ماشي، يبقى معناها اللي احنا بنعمل ايه بقى؟ لو انت دلوقتي حضرتك بتقول لي دلوقتي حاجه بتقول ده، يبقى معناها انت بتقول لي ايه؟ neglecting هي نفسها scientific way. يبقى when you started to put the statement of problem, you did it in a way, not comparison, I'm sorry, but redundant presentation of the point. ما هو either personalization or not scientific way. Because we said and, which means that when you want to put it there to be solved, you got the attention of people to look at two sides. Is it work being run not in an objective way? Well, it is not run in not a scientific way.
Personalization is a branch of non-scientific way.
Okay, branch means, here what we mean is a result of, a cause of.
A way of.
A way of. So if it is a way of, kind of a sub, when I put it there, I don't need to attract the attention of people to subs. I want to attract the problem, I want to attract the people to the problem, to the main thing. And then when we start to discuss it, I take the subs out and present it in a way. Now, communication with students. Post will under which faculty or what? Or is it miscommunication? Or is it lack of communication? Okay? So, how to make the old supports for bridges to sustain the load? Or old support, مش كده؟ Or كلمة old مظبوطة. طب, is this a problem? No, this is not a problem. The problem will be old bridges cannot take loads. Bridges in المحلة الكبرى or المنوف or تهافنا العزب or سروهيت or whatever cannot take loads. This is the problem. فتبقى ساعتها different. And then you start to see. And this how will be one of the questions that you should ask while you are defining the problem. And then do the two other steps. How to plan time? Is this a problem?
Yes.
No.
No.
This is the question.
No. I don't agree with you. I can't explain.
أنا عمري ما حد يجوزني ولا حبيني.
I tell you, I can't express the problem to question.
Okay. This is to study. I want a problem.
No.
What is the problem?
How to plan a time? This is a problem. Yes.
How to plan a time?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Right. How to plan a time?
This is a question, and this is a problem.
How to plan your time? You will have either priority, I will tell you, by time management. You'll have either priority or importance. So you go either most important, least important, or top priority, least priority. I solved the problem for you. But this is not the problem. The problem is time is not enough for the work or overwork or workload in comparison to the time given.
You can say that this is another expression to express the problem, but it's cancel. How to define?
أنا آخر بس عشان مش هقدر أكمل. However, you can مش not a matter of express the problem in question. You can ask about the problem first. Say, okay, is this a problem or not? And then you say, okay, how to is while you are doing your 5th or 7th steps, which is finding solutions. So here is, the question is to render solutions, not to present the problem. You should present the problem. If you go into a briefing, what do you teach? The recipe. Very good. لو دخلت الصبح بريفنج حضرتك معيده ولا دكتور؟ طب دخلت الصبح عندك تحت ايدك معيدين حبه صغيرين كده. دخلت لهم احنا عندنا مشكله. How to plan time. يقول لك لا انا مش عندي المشكله دي خالص. حد يقول لك how to plan time. ازاي نعملها؟ هيقول لك يا اما بالامبورتنس او بالبرايورتي. بس البروبلم لو حضرتك دخلت لي now they give us 6 hours, let's say our working hours from 9 to 5, that we have to give 3 lectures a day. It's 3 lectures يعني كام 4 ساعات ونص ولا 6 ساعات؟ 6 hours يا شيخ لا بنقول 6 hours. And then we have to go to the control room to correct papers. Let's say مثلا 2 hours. You take the papers to the control room to correct it, you don't take it with you home, right? Okay, 2 hours correction. And then we have 1 social activity meeting that we have to do according to the new regulation of the university, law student activity. And then we have 1 hour meeting with the boss. 6 and 2, 8 and 2, 10. So every day you'll see that this is not a good planning for time, right?
Yeah.
So will the problem be how to plan the time here? Will the problem be time management within work tasks?
Two equal each other.
No? No. When you ask the question here, you are directing for an answer. First, you'll have, when you think in a different way, thinking for this, لما سألت السؤال بالدايركت للانسر، هي افترضت ان دي حقيقه فعلا مشكله، لان انا ما عنديش مشكله على الوقت زي الفل وانا مظبط مع الناس كلها، ولا بقعد ساعتين في الكنترول اللي بصلح رئيس القسم صاحبتي فهم دي اخر سؤال اللي هو بيخلص بسرعه دوت، وفي الحقيقه ما انا ما عنديش 3 lectures بدي واحده بس عشان اوري البروفيسور، وما عنديش سوشيال اكتيفيتي اللي مديها للتي اي اللي معايا. فحضرتك هاو لا ده بلان، ده ما عنديش مشكله خالص. بس if you think about we have here 6 steps. Actually they are 7 steps. بس ال7 انا مش حاططها. For purpose. عشان it is more important than anything else for me. فبالتالي I wanted to be memorized for good. When you look at this, we have steps of problem solving. In 6 steps though, as I said before, they are neither Quran, nor Injil, nor Torah. Even you can get out with your own methodology of problem solving, or Dale Carnegie, or McKinsey, or whatever. At least something like McKinsey problem solving. And then you get the marriage between the 2 ways. You get the marriage between the 2 ways. Like this is a simple way for problem solving. A simple way for problem solving. So if we start with this, identify the problem. So I'll have to identify it according to, do I want it to have very specific or very general? No, I cannot do this or that. It will have to be identified in a mean that will render thinking about it through focus groups. فلو قلت time management for example, أو قلت how to make all supports for bridges and so on, I say okay, the problem is bridges, all bridges that is over, let's say, how many how many, if I define all bridge, يبقى how many years of construction? 50. يبقى the problem with 50-year-old bridges in, let's say where? In Sharqiyya Governorate in Egypt, and for example, whatever, unsustainability or sustainability of those. فبالتالي I will go here in the middle. I know that if I will look at 50 years old and above. So here I will define the problem or identify the problem according to concrete data. مش old bridges وخلاص. For this reason I asked him, what is the definition of an old bridge? Okay? So first I will have to identify the problem. Not to be very general and not to be very specific. But it should be adequate to be able to be discussed. This is number one. فأول حاجة خالص identify the problem. لو نفس الاكزامبل قلت لو انت داخل الصبح الميتنج البريفنج بتاع رئيس الجامعه وقلت له عندنا مشكله في الالات. الات ايه؟ هو في الات زراعيه والات جراحيه. عندنا مشكله في الالات الزراعيه. طب ماشي تمام، في انهي واحده؟ اللي جايه من المنحه الاوروبيه. في ايه بقى بالظبط فيها؟ ما استلمناهاش من الجمارك. يبقى يعني عندنا مشكله في الالات ولا مشكله في الجمارك؟ دكتور يا فرج ما عملش شغل. دكتور فرج ما عملش شغل خالص وما كملناش حاجه من الجمارك. هو دكتور فرج بتاع المنح الدوليه ولا بتاع الجمارك؟ So you have to first think about the problem. هي ايه بالظبط؟ Identify it in the correct way. معلش بقى بضطر انزل اسمها في الاكزام. خلاص؟ طيب. And then this is the first step. This is the first step. And then the second step will be prove يا عم ان في problem. But if you go and put the problem, you'll have to prove it. For research, we support, not to prove. In research, when we have a research problem, we try to support it with a support name for research. From literature, which are primary and published, right? ولا ده طالب ولا انتوا مش تبعنا؟ حاجات مش تبعكم ولا نظام حد يجاوب فيه؟ اوكي. طيب في البيزنس بروبلمز وفي الاذر بروبلمز how do I support? I have 4 things to support. حد can anyone help me?
أي شركة فتحها
Not only reports, what else? Report data. ايه تاني؟ يبقى report بالنسبة لي data. 2. Experience. Thank you so much. Personal experience. 3. Personal experience بنسميها عندنا testimonial. يبقى number 1 data, number 2 testimonial, number 3. هو بداية الريسيرش كانت بتبقى عاملة ازاي فاكرين؟ Observations which gets me examples. Okay, observations which gets me examples. When I put these 4 things together, this is support that the problem exists. Okay, لو كلمنا على bridges, if we talk about time, if we talk about lack of system in public policy, we'll have to say, okay, what is system first? Or lack of scientific thinking in management in education institutes. That give me what is scientific thinking from your point of view? Give me examples from management institutes. Get me someone to say yes, I have seen this and that. Collect data either through questionnaire or surveys or through reports or through research. وخد بالك, we have one thing that when we try to prove that the problem exists, I don't have wrong and I don't have right. I have weak and strong. I have strong proof or strong support, which collecting the 4 things together. Or I have weak one. اوكي؟ افتر وايل في النص الثاني من الورك شوب هنتكلم عن يعني ايه اوبزرفيشن، يعني ايه فاكت، يعني ايه اوبينيون، يعني ايه بلندد، يعني ايه هايبوثيسيس، يعني ايه الكلام ده كله. يعني ايه assumption، يعني ايه warrant assumption، يعني ايه unwarranted assumption and so on. And then when I want to prove that the problem exists, I will go to, okay, I prove that the problem exists through strong proof. Now I will have to say, what are the causes of the problem? But to ask myself this question, what are the causes of the problem? I will go into the same focus groups, they sit together, and they start to brainstorm the causes. Why? Because I alone cannot, if I say this is a problem, and I try to prove that there is a problem, and I prove that there is a problem, and I start to think about its causes, all my steps will be very subjective, looking at it from only one angle, which I have seen from, even if we're collecting 4 different or 5 different supports. So I will resort to focus groups to solve problems. Okay? Right. Now, listen, I will resort to not now, wait. I'll finish my methodology and then I'll leave you to do the problem solving. And then, ladies and gentlemen, etc. And then I will go بعد كده and دكتور please. And I identify the problem. وبعدين I prove طب ايه الكوزز يعني؟ And then after that طيب البروبلم دي لو فضلت ايه الفيوتشر ايفكت بتاعتها؟ يعني yesterday كان لسه بتكلم with someone on a personal problem. Please stop the camera. الريسيرش لاب بتاع ايه؟ بتاع ايه؟
تخصصي
طيب البروبلم عندك النهارده في البايو كيمستري لاب lack of equipment. lack of equipment دي لو الكوز بتاعتها ايه الاول؟ مفيش فاندز كويس؟ خالص؟ ولا مارجنال ولا بارشل ولا ايه؟ فهتقول lack of funds دي اول حاجه. سوري اسف سامحني. كويس؟
not enough.
not enough. اوكي. طيب لو فضلت دي اللي هيحصل